So the start to the new season has been a little bit up and down so far for Manchester United. We've seen some really promising stuff against Arsenal and against Burnley. We've also seen some utterly terrible stuff against Fulham and also Grimsby. Sorry if you guys were just trying to forget about that match. We can't. It was terrible. It's been a little bit of an up and down start to the season. However, one positive and one sign of evolution that I have personally seen is the fact that it's different. Last year, Ruben Amorim had a criticism thrown at him that he was always the same. Every single week it was the same approach, the same tactics. But I think already we are seeing tactical changes. We are seeing United head in a slightly different direction. And of course, a lot of that is player-led. When you have different players on the football pitch, you have different things that you can do. I always feel that the players available to the manager are one of the most unique tactical weapons. Only Manchester United have Bruno Fernandes, for example. No one else can have him, so no one else can do quite what we can do. Of course, we now have new players. Lemons, Matheus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo and Benjamin Sesko. 4 players that seem to directly address some of the things that we were quite simply bad at last season. And that is why Manchester United can evolve, because we've got new players that can bring something slightly different. Now, for starters, we can start off with the goalkeeper position. Last season, we had Andre Onana in goal for pretty much the entire campaign, and quite simply, he wasn't good enough. He had a pretty good start to the season last year, but it quickly tailed off, and ultimately, he wasn't very good. He was arguably bad, and at best, it was average. I feel sorry for Onana. I still believe that it was a good signing at the time. The problem is we never really created the environment to play to his strengths. We never got the best out of him. Instead, what we probably did was exposed his weaknesses. For example, Onana ranked 15th in the Premier League last season for the percentage of crosses that he was stopping into the penalty area. He only stopped 5.5%, which means basically he was weak on crosses. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. He was not good at dealing with crosses into the box. Like I said, 15th in the Premier League. That's not what we expect at Manchester United. We expect to be a top club. We want to be competing for the top 7 or 8 spots, really. So therefore, we need our goalkeeper, in an ideal world, to be ranking in the top 8. And Onana was not with the crosses that he was stopping into the penalty area. He also wasn't with his shot stopping either, ranking 18th in the Premier League for his post-shot expected goals. Basically, his net positive over the whole season was only +1. Now, that's not terrible. It means that over the course of a 38-game season, he did save 1 more goal than what we would expect. But again, that puts him 18th in the Premier League. There were 17 goalkeepers that did better. So again, it doesn't necessarily mean that Onana was terrible, but it means that he was certainly nothing better than average. And probably the worst thing was the fact that he was in the top 5 for errors leading to opposition goals. That's not ideal for a goalkeeper. Your job is sort of to stop the ball going in your net, and Onana didn't do that. Fortunately, Le Mans can change it. If I quickly put a stat comparison on the screen now, you will see Le Mans last season had a much better season than Andre Onana. Now, of course, he was playing in an easier division, which we have to keep in mind, but the stats look pretty good. They look better for sure. Onana last season, 3 errors leading to goals. Le Mans only 2. Onana last season saved his team 1 goal. Le Mans 14.5. That's 13.5 goals more. That is incredibly impressive. We saw earlier Onana stopped 5.5% of crosses into his penalty area. Le Mans, it was 13.3%. Now, of course, again, Le Mans was playing in an easier division, but you can see straight away how one of our new signings should immediately make us better. I also feel that some of our signings outfield are going to help Manchester United as well, and the way that we play, and are going to address some of our biggest weaknesses from last season, particularly in possession. Manchester United had a problem last year where there was just no drive, no carry in the team. There was no one who could pick the ball up and drive 20 yards to commit the opposition. First of all, why do you need that? Why is that good for a football team? Well, because first of all, it gets you territory. If you can pick the ball up in a relatively deep position and drive 20 or 30 yards, you are literally dragging your team up the pitch with you. We also have the benefit of tactical gravity, which means if you are a player who carries the ball a lot, chances are you are going to draw the attention of defenders. If you're drawing the attention of defenders, you're creating space elsewhere. So if I am a Matheus Cunha and I pick the ball up and I drive forward with the ball, I might draw 1, maybe even 2 players towards me, and that can make room for someone else. The problem was last season Manchester United did not have this. Manchester United last season ranked 11th for progressive carries in the Premier League and 9th for carries into the final third. Now again, these aren't terrible stats, they aren't outright bad, but again, they're just average, and that was the feeling around United last season on the ball. It wasn't terrible, but it was all a bit meh. It was okay, it was quite safe, and we didn't do enough to challenge the opposition. However, Now it can look a little bit different, because when you go and sign someone like Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, and you put them in a team alongside Amad, you end up with 3 players that ranked in the top 25 in the Premier League last season for their progressive carries. So what Manchester United have done this summer, and what Ruben Amorim has done this summer, is got more ball carriers into his side. The benefit of that is we addressed the problem that we had last season. We should see a team that is more capable of picking the ball up and driving forward. And again, tactical gravity is really, really important. If you can draw people towards you, you are creating space for someone else. Last year, we saw a lot of Mazraoui and Dalot, for example, playing in the wing-back positions. We might see Bruno and Garnacho perhaps in the 2-10s. And ultimately, the only great ball carrier there was Garnacho. Suddenly now we're potentially looking at 4. Dorgu is good at carrying the ball forward. Amad is good at carrying the ball forward. And of course, Mbeumo and Cunha. These are players that can pick the ball up and allow Manchester United to drive forward. So even in a way, without talking about tactics, they will improve us because they can just pick it up and carry. They are game breakers. They disrupt the opposition structure with their ability to drive. So that is one way, again, in which Manchester United should sort of immediately be better this season. Now, I think what we've seen so far is Manchester United simply signing better players and therefore being a better football team. But of course, what we also have to consider is the type of player that Manchester United are signing and therefore playing. Who are we getting into our starting 11? What sort of profiles have we got? And this is somewhere where I was incredibly critical last season. Time and time again, I would make the comments about United being too slow, too boring, not playing like Manchester United. You know, there's a lot of talk of the United DNA, and for me, that's quick, attacking, fast-paced football. And last season, we didn't have that. We scored 4 counter-attacking goals in the entire season. Across a 38-game season, we scored 4 goals on the counter-attack. Look at Liverpool in comparison. They were mind-blowing in transition. Manchester United were not. But at the start of this season, there has been a change. And again, that is in part because of the personalities and the profiles and the characteristics that we've now got in our starting 11. Benjamin Sesko up front, when he breaks into the team and plays more regularly, is a player who wants to be direct. He's not, for example, like Joshua Zirkzee, who drops deeper and links play with his sort of cue aesthetic passing. He's not that sort of player. Sesko is someone who will drive forward. He wants to quickly attack the goal. Cunha is very, very similar. His first thought is not how do I keep possession for my side or where's the numerical overload or anything like that. He wants to pick up the ball. He wants to drive at the opposition. He wants to ask questions. And Bryan Mbeumo is relatively similar as well. A bit more selfless, I would say, with his creative play in the final third. But again, certainly a player who wants to be in attacking zones. He wants to be nice and high up the pitch. And what this does is it creates a team which is much better at attacking fast. We can see that in the stats. No team has attacked as directly as Manchester United so far this season. And that is not what we saw last year. And that's where we're looking at a team changing. Last year, it was very, very slow. And I still think there will be games like that this season. There will be teams that set up in incredibly low blocks and we struggle to break them down. We still need work there. I'm not saying United are suddenly perfect. We have to get better at being slow. Don't get me wrong. Like, please get better at building slow. But I also like the building fast part as well. And that's where that balance is important. We need to be able to do both. United need to be able to go fast and slow. Last season, we couldn't really do either. Suddenly now we can attack very fast. And we look one of the most dangerous teams in the Premier League. We've created up there with the most expected goals in the league so far this season. Unfortunately, we haven't been finishing our chances, but we are creating them. We are creating them, and we're creating them with faster, attacking, breaking, transitioning football. And I think that's good because, for me, like I said earlier, that is Manchester United. That's what we should be. Of course, the most important thing is winning football matches and winning points and winning trophies. But I do think it's important, you know, how you get there as well, the style of football that you play. Last year, I felt very disconnected from it. United were boring to watch, dull to watch, and I just didn't care about the games. This season, it's not perfect yet. It's so far from perfect. There's still a lot that we need to work on. But it's at least entertaining. And for me, that's the first thing that I look for in my football club. I want to enjoy watching my football club. And I think players like Sesko and Mbeumo, Cunha, Bruno Fernandes, Amad, even Casemiro is quite a direct player. These are the sorts of players that make football fun to watch because they get your team playing forward very quickly. Now, like I said, it's not all positive. We still need to do some sort of balancing act at the moment. In fact, in the first 4 games, I've actually complained that we attack too fast at times. There does need to be a middle ground, but I do think you can see United are different. And what you can't say is that United are the same team as last season. All in all, I think we can see that the signings that Manchester United have made this summer are going to have an impact on the team. Le Mans in goal just should be better than Onana, partly because it would be difficult to be as bad. You know, Onana was really poor. Really poor. Le Mans will need time. He's a young guy, but hopefully immediately he can improve us in certain areas. It's going to be a trickier league, but hopefully once he adapts, he can instantly improve us in goal. And then the attacking players, I think there's a real upgrade there. The ball carrying that they will bring, the direct attacking it will bring, hopefully, fingers crossed, the finishing. You know, we would still like to see that. We haven't really had that yet. We signed these players who are amazing at scoring goals and they're not doing it yet, apart from Mbumo. Hopefully that will come when they settle, the first goal comes, the floodgates open, and they'll be confident. I'm looking forward to that. But I think we can see Manchester United's recruitment in the summer suggests the team heading in a slightly different direction to what perhaps we anticipated at one point. Amorim last year was slow football, very slow. This year it's 120 miles an hour constantly. Again, we still need balance. I still would have liked a midfield signing, someone who could manage the tempo a little bit better. But we haven't got that right now. So instead what Amorim needs to do is find internal solutions. He needs to work with the players that he's got to find that balance. The attacking football is very fun. But for Manchester United to truly go to the next level, we need to be able to do both. We can do the fast football now. Now we need to learn the slow football as well. And then, who knows, we might actually be a very good possession team, which would be quite nice because we haven't been one of them for a good few years now. So hopefully we are going to see that. But in terms of right now, it's sort of a waiting game. We now know the players we've got. They've all got something in common in terms of the way that they want to play. Now we have to see how it comes together on the football pitch. I think already against Arsenal, for example, we have seen glimpses. Now it's about actually seeing it blossom and come to life and Manchester United actually becoming a dangerous side. That's the plan, that's the hope, that's the dream. That's what Ruben Amorim is trying to evolve this team into. Now we just have to see whether or not we actually get there. So it's a bit of a waiting game, which means there's nothing left to talk about. So we're going to stop there. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe, and as always, I will see you in the next one.